Abundance often arrives quietly. A raise, a good month, momentum. And then something changes. The ease fades. Decisions feel heavier, pressure increases. Most people assume they did something wrong. They think they lost focus, or discipline, or belief. But abundance rarely disappears because of mindset. It shifts when the system holding it feels strained. More resources bring more responsibility. More options bring more consequence. More visibility brings more demand. The nervous system notices first. Before habits adjust, before confidence settles. When capacity is exceeded, the system tightens. That tightening is not failure, it is protection. From the outside, it can look like hesitation, overthinking, pulling back, spending without clarity. Internally, it is the body trying to reduce pressure. This is why abundance can feel temporary, not because it is unstable, but because the system receiving it has not yet adapted. In modern life, this pattern repeats. People grow faster than they integrate. Success expands faster than safety. When that happens, abundance stops feeling supportive. It starts to feel demanding. This is not a reason to avoid growth. It is a signal to slow integration. Abundance stays when the system can hold it without bracing. Not through effort, not through positivity, but through capacity. In this video, we are not chasing more. We are looking at what allows abundance to stay. Because when capacity grows, abundance does not need to leave to protect you.
Abundance often grows faster than capacity. This creates strain. Opportunity expands quickly. The system adjusts slowly. That gap matters. When growth arrives before readiness, pressure builds. Not emotional pressure, physiological pressure. The body shifts into containment. Attention narrows. Tolerance drops. Flexibility decreases. This is not fear. It is load management. When capacity is exceeded, the system compensates. It pulls back. It hesitates. It seeks relief. From the outside, this can look like avoidance. Inside, it is stabilization. People often call this self-sabotage, but sabotage implies intent. This is response. The system is trying to keep itself functional. Capacity includes more than confidence. It includes decision energy, emotional bandwidth, ability to rest while holding responsibility, tolerance for uncertainty. Without these, expansion creates stress instead of freedom. This is why abundance can feel unsafe, not because it is wrong, but because it demands more space than currently exists. In work, this looks like promotions that feel heavy. In money, it looks like income increases followed by anxiety. In business, it looks like growth followed by burnout. The pattern is consistent. Growth without integration tightens the system. Integration widens it. Holding more is not about pushing harder, it is about building space. That space develops slowly, through rhythm, through recovery, through stability. When capacity catches up, growth stops feeling like pressure. It starts to feel supportive. Stress changes how choice feels, not emotionally, physiologically. When stress rises, the system narrows, focus tightens, options shrink. Time feels urgent. This happens even when resources are present, even when income is stable, even when opportunity exists. Stress does not remove abundance, it restricts access to it. Under pressure, the body prioritizes containment. It asks one question: how do I reduce load? not how do I expand. This is why financial decisions feel harder under stress. Saving can feel restrictive. Spending can feel relieving. Risk can feel dangerous. The same numbers, a different internal state. This is not poor judgment, it is state-based decision-making. When stress is high, long-term thinking fades, imagination contracts, patience shortens, vision collapses into the present moment. This is why attraction and planning fail under pressure. Not because belief is weak, but because the system is overloaded. People try to think their way out of this. They push positivity. They force confidence. But contraction is not a thought problem. It is a capacity problem. When pressure softens, perception widens. Options return. Flexibility increases. Choice feels possible again. Abundance responds to space, not effort, not urgency. When stress loosens, the system reopens, and what was already present becomes usable again. When abundance slips, people often blame themselves. They call it self-sabotage. Lack of discipline, weak follow-through. But sabotage assumes intent. Most of the time, there is none. What looks like sabotage is often protection. When pressure increases, the system looks for relief. It reduces exposure, it limits risk, it pulls back from expansion. This can show up as delaying decisions, avoiding opportunities, overspending for comfort, under-earning despite skill. From the outside, it looks irrational. From the inside, it makes sense. The system is trying to lower load. Abundance increases demand before it increases ease. More choices, more responsibility, more consequence. If those demands exceed capacity, the body intervenes, not to ruin progress, but to survive it. This is why willpower rarely fixes the issue. Willpower adds pressure. Pressure increases contraction, and contraction limits access. Protection does not disappear when it is argued with. It softens when conditions improve. When the system feels supported, it stops bracing. When pressure lowers, behavior stabilizes. This is why labeling patterns as failure is unhelpful. It keeps attention on character instead of conditions. Abundance stabilizes when protection is no longer needed. That happens when the system can hold responsibility without strain, not through force, through support. Abundance stabilizes under specific conditions, not motivation, not confidence, not intensity. Stability requires capacity that can be maintained. This includes room to make mistakes, space to rest without guilt, time to adjust to responsibility, permission to move slower than growth. When these are missing, the system stays alert. Alert systems do not settle. They manage. They brace. Stability does not come from removing challenge. It comes from reducing unnecessary pressure. Pressure accumulates quietly. Deadlines stack. Decisions compound. Expectations linger. When pressure exceeds recovery, the system tightens again. This is why abundance can fluctuate, not because it is fragile, but because recovery has been overlooked. Stability grows when recovery is built in. Regular pauses, predictable rhythms, clear limits. These are not luxuries, they are structural supports. Without them, abundance feels conditional. With them, it feels dependable. This is why some people hold modest success with ease, and others struggle to hold much more. It is not about desire. It is about what the system can carry without strain. When stability is present, abundance stops triggering defense. It becomes usable, reliable, calm. This is not achieved quickly. It develops over time. As the system learns, it does not have to brace, as pressure no longer signals threat. Stability is not the absence of effort. It is effort that does not exhaust.
Abundance does not stay through control. It stays through familiarity. When increase becomes familiar, the system stops reacting. No bracing, no urgency, no withdrawal. This familiarity develops gradually, through repetition without threat, through responsibility without overload, through success without constant pressure. When the system experiences abundance without consequence, it relaxes. Relaxation is not complacency. It is stability. This is why forcing growth often backfires. Force keeps abundance unfamiliar. Every increase feels like a test. Every decision feels heavy. But when growth is held gently, the system adapts. It learns, I can be here without losing myself. This learning changes behavior naturally. Decisions become clearer. Timing improves. Impulse reduces. Not because of discipline, because of safety. Abundance becomes something the system recognizes, not something it resists. This is how wealth stabilizes, not by trying harder, but by allowing the body to remain open while holding more. When abundance no longer signals threat, it stops leaving. It settles. And what once felt temporary becomes part of the baseline. Abundance does not need to be chased. It needs to be held. If abundance has felt temporary in your life, that does not mean you failed. It may mean your system was protecting itself. There is nothing wrong with that. Stability grows when pressure softens, when growth slows enough to integrate. When the body learns, it does not need to brace. You do not have to change anything right now. You do not need to decide how to grow. Simply notice what has felt heavy, what has felt rushed, what has felt unfamiliar. These are not obstacles, they are signals, and signals can be listened to. Abundance stays where there is room to rest, room to adjust, room to remain open. When that room exists, growth no longer needs to leave. It can stay.